I'm Jonathan Feinberg, and your hosts today are Bikha Pham and Edwina Francis Martin. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Another wonderful lineup of guests for today's show. First up will be Elsie McCabe-Thompson, president of the New York City Mission Society, who will talk about the organization's programs and services for youth. Next up will be Gleb Sapersky, president and co-founder at Intentional Insights, a nonprofit advocating truth-seeking, rational thinking, and wise decision-making. Gleb will discuss the Roy Moore scandal and how the situation is an example of the systemic danger to our democracy. And rounding out today's lineup will be Catherine Duffy, Associate Director of Student Support at SUNY Stony Brook, and Jessica McKay, a student at Stony Brook, who will talk about their experiences with the Elect Her program of Running Start, a unique program that trains college women to run for student office. So let's get right to it, shall we? First up is Elsie McCabe-Thompson, president of the New York City Mission Society, who's here to talk about organizations, programs, and services for young people. Thanks for joining us, Elsie.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure.
So, Elsie,
it's always wonderful for an advocate to be able to talk about the things that they love. And some of the programs actually all of the programs that the Mission Society runs are things that I love.
yes, and it's such a great organization, and I know you provide a lot of programs. Can you tell us a little bit about the history and the work of the Mission Society and who it serves?
The Mission Society, we're in our third century of anti-poverty work. As the face of immigration and the face of poverty has changed in New York, so has our service delivery, trying to address those myriad needs. So over 200 plus years ago, we were dealing with the newest wave of immigrants, and we've incubated some of New York's most iconic social service, similarly anti-poverty organizations. When everything from the Fresh Air Funds to the Visiting Nurse Service to Children's Aid Society, those are all of our progeny, to give you a little idea of our scope. But the Mission Society today is focusing on education. We're trying to help, end multi-generational poverty. And one of the things that, we are focusing on is education, trying to help our children, narrow that educational gap, the educational opportunity gap. Because we know that our children, poor, frequently minority children in New York City are no less intelligent innately than any other, but they've been they have not been given the opportunities that many of their more affluent peers have.
So hi, Elsie. This is Edwina. And first, I just want to say that it's always nice to speak to a fellow Sherman and Sterling alumna. We were there at different time frames, but I've seen you at, I think, a couple of alumni events. And 3 centuries is very exciting. You were just talking about how the organization has evolved over time. We know that there is more and more of a focus, not just on education, but on STEM in particular. Why is this?
In part because, maybe 100 years ago, there was a lot of light industry in New York. You'll remember the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, and that horrible fire and disaster. But those were some of the, industries in New York. Today, jobs are international. And, as many of our elected officials have pointed out, many have gone overseas. But the growth industries in New York and in the United States are often STEM-related, science, technology, engineering, and math. So if you have those basic skills, or not so basic skills, but if you have those abilities, some may be innate, some more often than not they're learned. Then you're better prepared for today's jobs. What employers want is they want resiliency. And by the way, resiliency skills are the skills you need to succeed in life. The ability to adapt to adversity, and to get back up and keep going.
Well, that's such a good point, and not having been around children much, or still today, I had an opportunity to go to a public school in Harlem in my neighborhood a few weeks ago, and it was a primary school, and got to, see some of the classes and the students, and there were two young girls giving the tour, and they were just so intelligent and so knowledgeable about everything so far, and I was quite impressed with these young students and children in our city, and it happens to be that school was, this DOE has determined it to be sort of an underperforming school or one of the lower performing schools, and it's quite surprising. And I know one of the Mission Society's key programs is learning to work, and can you tell us what that program is about and how it helps, what kind of students does this help?
Absolutely. We serve about 1,200 high schoolers, and these are overage and underaccredited kids. So, 16 to 21, and most of them are overage and underaccredited for a variety of reasons because of the traumas that are poverty, homelessness, food insecurities. Some are new immigrant children. Some are LGBTQ kids who are, semi-homeless, or, made unwelcome in their own homes and have been sort of checking out from school. Some are court involved. Some are, teen mothers. Some are gang involved. And, we know that getting a degree from high school is key to being able to succeed in life. And your outcomes are so much better. You'll be able to earn more. You'll be able to, one day, as soon as you're ready, go back to college. And, being able to complete high school with a real Regents diploma. Equivalency diplomas are hard to get. Many employers don't realize that. But getting a real Regents diploma is a badge of honor. And the citywide graduation rate for kids from transfer schools, those are the overage, undercredited student populations, is about 41%. Our graduation rate is, frequently well over that, sometimes over twice that. And being able to get more kids on that educational pipeline, rekindle their love of learning. I consider it, one of our greatest badges of honor that, 85 to 90% of our kids say they like learning again because of our programs, because we support them. We nurture them. We will, make sure that they are in school, so that they're not, we're not the truant officers of, a bygone era. We are, because we don't just care that they come to school. We care why they're not coming to school or why they don't want to come to school, and try and address those underlying issues. And that's personally quite satisfying.
And this is Edwina again. Do you think that has helped to make the program as effective as it has been?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you think that approach, looking at not just do they go to school, but why aren't they coming to school? Do you think that's what sets it aside and makes it an effective program?
Every person, I certainly can, who has succeeded in any way in their life can point to somebody who was a mentor, someone who believed in them, and showing that you care, having a caring, responsible adult in your life. It's not rocket science. Makes an amazing difference. And in our case, we provide caring, responsible adults who are particularly informed. At our YABC program, that's our night school program, also for the overage undercrediting. It's a particularly amazing team of people. Our program manager is a lawyer, and we have our social worker there is unparalleled. On our teams, we always have a program manager, a college placement person who can help with everything from FAFSA to college applications, to helping navigate and understand what the college experience is about. We have internship placement people, and place people in, students in amazing internship opportunities where we pay them to get work experience. And for many, this is their first real work experience. We'll take them on college trips because it's hard to imagine going to college if you haven't been on campuses, and a variety of campuses. Maybe for you, a 2-year associate's degree is, all that you think you could manage. But visiting Cornell, it may be something that's out of your reach, but you never know that you can aspire to it. You can never picture yourself there unless you've actually been there. So, 1 year we took a group of kids to, a historically black college tour. So they visited a variety of historically black colleges, Howard and Spelman and others. But then we also took them to historic sites to put, the HSBCU, model in context, in historical context. And these are real eye-opening experiences for kids. And we want them to be able to dream big. But
Elsie,
to dream big, often it's showing them what that looks like and what that feels like.
that sounds amazing. And how do the students and their parents learn about this program and the other programs at Mission Society? And can you also talk about the especially the Learning to Work program? Like what are the skills that you teach the students?
What are the skills that
that the students are taught in the Learning to Work program?
A lot of basic life skills, skills that are not so basic. How what is appropriate work attire? What is appropriate work behavior? Conflict resolution, so that you really shouldn't talk to your friends like that, but you certainly can't talk to your boss like that and not expect to continue having a job for the day, for the week, for the long term. We teach them budgeting skills. How do you really plan for college expenses? Even if you have an Excelsior scholarship and so many of your basics are covered, it doesn't cover, the small realities. If you're going away to college, maybe all of your expenses for housing are taken care of because you've gotten an amazing opportunity. But you're going to need extra sets of sheets to live in your dorm room. You're going to need all sorts of additional expenses that you may not have thought of. You're going to need to save money so that you can come home. However often you plan to come home or would like to come home. These are some of the things that, most kids in poverty don't know how to do. It's one of the reasons why so many retailers see, poor, minority customers as their best customers, in part because, they'll spend money that they don't necessarily have. And that's how debt rises. But we will teach them how to ward away those unfortunately likely eventualities.
Hi, Elsie, Edwina. And first, I wanted to ask you to just share with our listeners how they can find out more about the Mission Society, your website, what your social media locations are. And then if you could talk about this really interesting program you have, GRIO, where students learn more about dance, because it looks fascinating.
Our GRIO program, I personally love. It's a small program, because we like small programs, because kids learn best. In GRIO, we introduce middle schoolers and high schoolers to music. Everything, but in a STEM way. So we don't want you to just learn to play rhythms. We want you to learn to read music. We want you to learn about the cultures of music. So, for instance, in that program, we've partnered with the Afro-Latin Jazz Alliance to develop our curricula. And we want kids to understand where their music comes from. So, what is Brazilian music? What is Cuban music? What are those? How do you hear the underlying African rhythms? And we want them to understand the science of sound, the math of music, because music is fundamentally math. And you know what? Coincidentally, or not so coincidentally, our GRIO students improve their math skills.
That's amazing. Elsie, so your programs sound amazing, and I hope that our listeners will look up the Mission Society and figure out how, and look to enroll their themselves or their children into these programs. And congratulations on such amazing work that the Mission Society has done over the centuries. And thank you for taking the time to join us this morning.
Yes,
please go to our website, nycmissionsociety.org, and you'll find out even more things. Please, for all of your listeners, get involved. Roll up your sleeves. We just had a community Thanksgiving dinner, where we served nearly 350 people, a hot plated meal. You can volunteer. You can, help us in any number of ways.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.